Tonight's going to be maybe the most ambitious episode I've ever tried to pull off. I'm still going to keep it fast and loose. I'm not going to use any notes. I did a little bit more research than normal for this, but I've been looking up to the Gonz, Mark Gonzales, most of my life. Every older skater like Eric Costin or Jeff Raleigh told me how important he is, and I listened. He might be the most important skateboarder to ever pick up a board, and yes, that's a heavy thing to say, and yet I'm here saying it on my soapbox. I wanted a quote that exemplified a Western view of an Eastern philosophy, so I chose Alan Watts. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. You can pull out of that quote what you'd like. For me personally, I think the Gonz is just so hard to define, and I think Western philosophies are constantly defining things where Eastern philosophies, I'm talking Taoism, Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, are more concerned with the fact that you can't define these things. They just are. And I think for Mark, that is a very important thing to consider. We never, in most interviews, really got the real Gonz, and I think that's part of the art form he's pushing. I think that's part of his brilliance. My central thesis I'm working with here is that Mark is the most important skateboarder to ever pick up a board, and without him, I don't know where the fuck we'd be right now. He takes a little bit of that Neil Blender vert and a little bit of that Roddy Mullen freestyle flat ground and combines them into maybe the most important way to skate ever, using the streets and the obstacles found in the streets as the canvas.
Oh, gnarly! You worked at All American Burger.
So what's important about this 1985 street style contest in Oceanside is that no older street style contests exist on film. Apparently there were a couple other ones before this, but they were not filmed. So this is the oldest street-specific contest we have on film. And some people are absolutely ripping. Hossoy's ripping in this. Billy Ruff, who apparently really inspired Mark Gonzales, has so much style. I think his skating really holds up when you look at it with a modern lens back in 1985. And then there's some people like Gator that fucking suck that I think are totally overrated, should have never skated street. But that's a different thing. Oceanside, Skateboard Contest, 1985, readily available on YouTube.
Just skating on ramps and stuff, little obstacles, like mainly, I guess, just anywhere on the street.
What's it gonna take to win a competition like this?
A lot of practice, I guess.
What makes you one of the better street style skaters around?
I don't know. I just skate a lot. A lot of practice.
That's all, just skate streets a lot?
Yeah.
Hey, good luck, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So that was the last time we'll ever see Mark be honest, but look at him blast that boneless. I love how he tweaks his board out sideways. Whatever he just did on that trash can, it was amazing. You personally can go flip through this contest that's easily available on YouTube and see why he's ripping so much harder than everybody else. The street plant there, way sicker than anything Valley's ever done. In my opinion, Mike V. Sick-ass street plant, though. I love the way he grabbed there. But look at the speed he takes in a launch ramp. If you could see other people and how they hit that launch ramp, you'd see how much sicker Mark is doing it. I don't know the name of a lot of these tricks. That was a sick Bertelmann 720 or whatever. The boneless 180 tail stall on the table, and he goes to ollie into 50-50 on that later, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Just remember that street skating doesn't exist yet. People are skating on the streets, sliding curbs in front of skate parks, but it isn't really its own definition, and this contest is one of the things helping push it. Blasted that method off there. That was so sick. It was so 80. And then the groundbreaking thing here is the fact that he's alling onto that table in 1985. Fucking sick. That is obviously where skating gets sicker. That Vision ad is one to die for. I love the style on it. And then that's one of the greatest looking bonelesses I've ever seen in my life. And I can't remember what year that Thrasher came out, but he's bean planting or whatever on the front. And then, of course, if you know anything about your history, we've got Mark skating EMB, which he went on to ollie the Gonz Gap, and before the spot was even a legitimate spot in the early 90s, Mark already had his name on it because he's that much of a fucking legend. I never saw it before they ripped it out and remodeled the EMB. I moved to the Bay Area in 2001, so I missed it, but I've heard it was extremely gnarly, and we'll see him kickflip it later. So moving on from 1985, we're going to 1987 now. In early skating's time period, 2 years is a fucking eternity. And Mark was making use of all that time. You can see the progression here. We're going to 1987's Savannah Slamma, a contest in Georgia back in the day. They have a handrail set up, a car you can ollie onto. It's sick as hell. Savannah Slamma, 1987. Guerrero, Gonzales, Dressen, three of my favorite skaters of all time, three of the most important to ever street skate. Gonz instantly 50-50s the handrail. I know that doesn't look like the biggest rail ever, but in this time period, that's fucking nuts to even be sliding on that PVC down that stage thing. He's just cruising around here. I love how he stands up on that 50-50. He's kind of dorking around. There's the switch launch ramp trick I was talking about. He's already breaking down barriers in skateboarding. The high socks, the UCLA t-shirt, the trucker hat. It's also sick. Huge ollie onto that. Obviously, these days, people can ollie high. If you go back in a time machine to this time period, you would be absolutely mind-fucking blown by that. Here he is, frontside board slide down the handrail. It was so fucking stylish. There's a sick photo and a Thrasher of that front board. And he's just sort of geeking around. He's using that ADHD energy to just perform sick maneuvers well, not taking anything too seriously. I think that's the best part about Mark. Sick-ass ollie onto the car off the launch ramp. I don't know what that car is. Maybe you do. Put that in the comments. Or you can tell me how I don't know anything about the Savannah Slamma. There's the board slide up the rail, which somehow he only got fourth. I don't know who was judging that day, but their head should be on a fucking spike. So Gonz in NYC 1989. Gonzo goes to New York. The shorts are kind of kooky, but I think at the time period, Vision was pretty sick. Obviously, Vision, he left them and started Blind in the 90s. And we'll see that in a second here. But he's just pushing down the streets. Sick frontside ollie, sick backside ollie. And then is that a switch backside ollie? I don't know. Did they flip the footage? Or is he really switch backside ollieing? With Mark Gonzales, I can't tell. He's good enough to have done that ollie switch. I love the style on all this. The filming is pretty sick. I don't know what kind of light they're using, but this video really, to me, is forecasting what is to come from skating. So Mark might just be goofing around. He might be taking shit seriously, but he's doing some serious maneuvers. I think he's just dorking around having fun. Sick board slide, filmed very kookily, but at the time period, who else did you have a camera to hold up to? Maybe Stacy Peralta. Sick 50-50. The front board is immaculate. I think Julian Stranger was the only person to front board a handrail earlier than that, and I think that one had more style. So congrats to you, Gonz. And then just literally the essence of street skating, which did not exist before Mark and Nodis and Guerrero and Dressen. These guys brought it to the forefront. He's sketching a car down New York City streets. This could be in a video today, and I'd be stoked on it. He's just having fun doing his thing. Everyone else that's come after is just copying him. He is the most important skater ever. I hope that point comes across as we watch this. Whoever that other 80s bro is ripping around in his cut-off sleeve Levi's vest, so sick. Just cruising. And then this wall ride is so rad. I love the way he turned at the top of it. Don't forget about this Power Edge mag. I own this. I think my buddy Grant has it on loan right now. Early 90s one. And I just love the fact that he's nose grabbing off some random bump and wearing a Laserdisc visor for whatever reason. Laserdisc never took off, but Mark sure did. So yeah, now we got to get into Mark skating in the 90s. This demo is from New Jersey around the time period that his Video Days part came out. And you can just see how much speed and power he possesses. If you look at videos from 1991, and there's not a whole lot, there's some 8th Street stuff going on, there's Video Days. Mark is a cut above everybody else. While he's pushing things technically, he's also pushing things with how fast and powerful he is. I mean, this is like Brandon Westgate skating, but the guy inventing all the crazy tech tricks out is also as good as Brandon Westgate. Crazy ollie to tail bash, crazy ollie over that hip. I love the Vans, the sort of baggy clothing that would define the 90s to come up. Mark is just so ahead of his time, and I feel like he's really getting into his prime at this. That front board was so rad, the way he lazily slid. The nose manny on the box to drop into the quarter pipe on the other side. Huge nose slide. Doesn't even look like 1991. That is just some powerful, rad skating from a guy who will always be one of our best. And then let's get into Video Days. This might be the most important video part of all time. The loose trucks, the carving there in London, the striped shirt. If you watch other videos from this time period, there's people ripping. There's definitely people coming out in 91, 92 that have some sick style. But I think it's the whole package here with Mark. It's the way he's flowing through these lines, the frontside shove it, the 180 switch 50. Just so sick, the half cab. A lot of people are doing like fakey big spins to whatever ugly looking flat ground tricks. Mark's doing switch no comply 180s to switch board slide down hubbas, sick backside 360 in the Vans. The yellow shirt, the shorts. This would define an era, of course. But I think he's got a lot more flow. There's that Paris ditch that doesn't exist anymore under the Eiffel Tower. I wish it did. I've smoked a doobie under that. Highly underrated without the skate spot there, I got to tell you. And then I just love the way he flicks his kickflips. People would call them mob, but when you're one of the first people to be doing kickflips on the planet on street, you can do them however the fuck you please. Huge double set ollie. This video part, I think, really is what defines skating moving forward. You film a sick video part, you skate everything, you skate fast, and you have fun doing it. I think Mark is never skipping out on having fun while doing it. Huge grab down Wallenberg. No, he did not have a launch ramp to drop in to get speed for it. He just bombed the hill. The backside 180 switch 50 alley-oop style. The switch 180 at EMB double set. The switch 180 50-50. Ed Templeton nose blunt before Ed, and then the board slide on the crazy rail with a shove it out just to really put some icing on the cake. There's Paul Revere, the 50-50 back 180 out. So fucking stylish. I feel like I'm watching Krooked Narnar, which we will get to, but this is just how videos were filmed at the time period. The day one setup, the board slide up and over. And then, of course, Mark doesn't just have street style, but he has ramp style, he has vert style. He's got some of the sickest eggplants and hand plants in skateboarding history. I don't think anybody is going to make an argument against that. He probably has the sickest eggplant. Sick-ass frontside board slide. It's a very difficult trick to do on transition if you ever skate it. Sick-looking Madonna. I like the clothing. I like the eggplant. I like the size of the ramp for how hard he's ripping it. And then the caveman dark slide, fucking ridiculous. And here's a legitimate vert ramp, just in case you didn't know how good Mark was. Of course, 91 is a beautiful era where street skating exists and ramp skating is still going down heavily. And he's somewhere in the mix, skating all of it, which I think when you can't gloss over Mark for how pivotal he is in defining street skating, but also in just performing skating that already existed at the time. The guy is such a nerd and such an obsessive personality. At least that's how it looks through the footage. The manual, the front board was sick. That he just applied himself to skating, and you can just see it in how well he can skate everything here. Skating these parking lots by himself in the middle of the night, the kickflip front board fakie, so far ahead of its time. The 270 lip slide. And then whatever he's doing in this parking garage, so rad. The style on it, I think, is the most important thing. He's progressing the sport, the art form right here. But I think he's also doing it very stylishly, which is a cut above the rest in just about any art style you could talk about. I don't know any painter who came out breaking down barriers and also had the best style at the same time. It's just incredible to think, really, in any sort of form of art, that anybody could be this good and this stylish at the same time. That's how fucking important he is. If you're somebody who just started skating in the last 10 or 15 years and you're watching this right now and you don't understand, you need to study more. You need to realize where our roots came from and why this guy is so fucking important. I love Nadas too. Look, there he is, no sliding down 10 stairs in 1991. I love Nadas too. Nadas is a style god, but I don't think he was pushing skating along as much by this 91 era. One of the most insane board slides of all time. Shout out Tom K in that Pocket Skate Mag interview. Sick ass front board that's huge. What a legend. And then this old 93 Thrasher on the vert ramp, and then just a Gonz doodle on the cover of that one. Now we're going to watch a couple videos that round out the 90s for Mark. There's a 93 to 96 60-40, a company he skated for. Mega Edit by You Will Soon, so thank you to that guy for making that. I think Mark is taking the greaser style of clothing and the free flow approach to his street skating to new heights in both these videos. He's also still progressing things heavily. He was born in 1968, so by 1998, he's fucking 30 years old, and I think you need to remember that. In skateboard years, even when we just watch video days when he was 23, he's fucking ancient. These days, yeah, Tony Alva's dropping in on vert at 65 years old. But anyway, let's get into mid to late 90s Mark. Here's that 60-40 Megamix. Thank you, You Will Soon, for putting this together, 93 to 96. Look at the cons, the half cab Manny, the sick looking kickflip. Gonz has his very own looking kickflips. They aren't proper, as you might say these days. They're mobbed, but I think they're sick as fuck. I never got into Mark's drawing. I think it's way overrated, doodles, but it's amazing that he's a multimillionaire. The crazy hippie hop through the two benches, the pivot on the wall. Some of these tricks start to become very signature for Mr. Gonzales. There's that egg as we're talking signature Mark tricks. But I think really anything he decides to do is always going to look at least interesting. Maybe you disagree with the style, but to me, I think he always makes things look fucking cool as hell, like this frontside flip off this curb here after the back tail. It's just so weirdly performed off the curb cut, but I love it. The front foot, the way he caught it, something about it. That frontside flip was sick too. And then just walling or pole jamming into that 50 kickflip after. He's in that greaser phase for Mark Gonz, and he went on to ride for real after 60-40. I think 60-40 went out of business. But in between the 60-40 edit Mega Edit and Nonfiction, the first real video we're going to check out, Gonz, of course, was in Antihero Cow. That nose blunt, he was going so fast. I love the pushing, the backside lip slide. The clothing, it really defines the era for me. I can look at that and tell exactly what year-ish it is, but I think his skating, it's really hard to tell what year it is. The aggressive pushing, he's sweating all over the place. The flat ground 720s, as you'll see right here. The guy is just so talented that I think we gloss over him sometimes. Not gloss over him, but we gloss over his contributions as far as pushing the gnarliness and skating fast and doing flowing lines rather than just being creative. The lip slide through the kinked rail was sick. Board sliding this rail is just absolutely nutty. I don't know. And then the table set up as a launch ramp to board slide, fucking out of control. I got to slow-mo that one. That's do or die right there. That's Mark in a nutshell. He probably was goofing around making weird noises while he attempted that. Maybe not. I don't know. Sick Thrasher cover, the pole jam to fakie. And then, yeah, here's Antihero Cow. I think I'm going to let... we've already covered the car wash when we talked about cardio, but let's let Jake Phelps talk about this.
The story of the Sunset Car Wash is one of the greatest stories to me, because they were driving through LA on Sunset, drinking beers in the van with Mark, and Mark had just said, I've always thought about going off the roof into the bank, and John's like, I'm in right now. And then Mark's like, pull over. They pull over. John's like, I'll do it. And then he looks at Mark, he goes, I do this, you owe. And then Mark's like, they all were up there. John did it one try, do or die, the ad. And then that's why in the video, Mark's just freaking out because he owes. John's already in the van drinking a beer. And Mark's up there like, oh my God, I have to produce, I got to do it. All these years I've been thinking about it since 1986 or whatever he'd driven, because he'd always just go on missions in LA by himself. That's how he learned to street skate. And then Mark had to just get served up. He had to, because John called him out on it. And it was like, well, that's the way it goes.
Rest in peace, Jake. It's actually kicked out of everywhere. We are going to get to nonfiction, but this real video at the very end, the tail end of the 90s, I think Gonz is really, really ripping in this. If you know anything about clothing style, and of course there's way more to Mark than just his clothing style, but I don't think he's really falling for all the trends that are happening here, 98, 99, the weird cargo pants and the red and yellow t-shirts. Mark is just sort of on his own trip here, hitting giant handrails. Still, that lip slide was sick as fucking hell. The hippie jump into some weird spot, the wally. I think he has maybe the greatest wallies ever. There's that rail again. He had just hit in the 60-40 edit, but I love the way he rolled out of that. It was so fucking stylish. This ridiculous hubba ledge that someone would do on a snow skate now, that was so rad. He's just goofing around. Just classic Mark right there. And I think Reel is really becoming interesting at this time period. They'd been out for a few years by 1998 or 1999, but they're really coming into their own. An insane Wally board slide to fakie at the school where Clipper Ledge is. The crazy Wally 50 over that and then another amazing eggplant and frontside invert. The guy has so much fucking style. There's Jim's ramp in the early days. And then back in a yellow t-shirt, dropping in on some ridiculous ledge. He gets tossed, but somehow Gonz even makes falling look fun. And then this Wally up to backside flip off in San Francisco into the bridge. That was so fucking underrated. That was ridiculous. Here he is back to flow Gonz. Just his lines look so good. The frontside lip slide on Jefferson after the flip trick. The board slide through the kinked rail. Just undeniable style. I think you could take a snippet from any moment in this video part and know exactly who's skating. He absolutely destroys this rail. Was that at San Francisco City College? I can't remember. And then this groundbreaking 50-50 Wally 50-50 up, pole jam up, whatever you want to call it. So fucking amazing, Mark. The feeble grind down Jefferson rail, the same one Jerry Sue nollie crooked, and so did Mark Appleyard. Ollie over the fence into the bank. Switch lip slide to switch. It's extremely groundbreaking. And then he's calling this the Kilty McBagpipe. The kickflip hippie hop through the middle. I think his board bounced off. That's one of the most insanely technical tricks ever done on street. That's just Mark being Mark right there. We're going to jump in here to early 2000s Mark with Reel to Reel, but first I wanted to cover this skateboarder mag where he has an interview in it. He's doing the insanely sick stale fish in the gloves over the channel at Ripon Skate Park. So fucking stylish. He's boosting it, and I love the gloves. But I think there's this question in this interview that's pretty interesting, and it really shows Mark. It really ties into that theory I was working on about being undefined and the more Eastern philosophy approach where things are a little bit more ambiguous. But essentially the guy asking questions asked him about this in 2001, reverting back to old tricks and old videos and everything and not perpetually moving forward. And Mark's answer is pretty interesting. Time isn't so important. I think the only thing that's important, like I said, is just to move and let the board guide you rather than you guide the board. I think that's one, personifying that Neil Blender attitude he took on, where he's not really giving the person reading the interview who he really is. But I think two is he really is saucing in some Eastern philosophy here. Reel to Reel, 2001, a legendary video. I feel like the 90s were really raw and the early 2000s really quality filmmaking. Really good lines in this video too. Everyone from Busenitz to Gonz is fucking ripping it on young 2001 Reel skateboards. That's when the EMB was under construction. Like I said, that's when I moved to the Bay Area, so I just missed the Gonz gap being ripped out. I love how fast he's pushing, how flowy he is. He doesn't have the cargo pants on, although he has the same taupe colored pants that everyone was wearing and the yellow shirts, of course. It is the era. I love how fast he's going, how he dropped in on that tail slide, basically on this man down spot, the tilt mode spot. That switch flip should have been in my switch flip video. It was not. I fucked that up, but that was so fucking rad. Old man switch flips, dark slide down, crazy nose grind pop out way before you were seeing anybody do it front side. I think Wenning and Populardo were just inventing the backside ones at Love Park on the other side of the continent at the time. Max's gnarly Widowmaker ramp, and I love the way he skates FDR here. So stylish on that backside air. Big mega pushes. I think we've touched upon it, and we'll touch upon it again. That was a sick-ass stalefish. You're about to see that stalefish from the cover, I believe, in this video part, but the frontside ollie was sick. But we've said how fast Mark skates. I think he still doesn't get the kind of credit for how fast he skates. I think people just accept this is how he skates. I love that shot coming around that brick corner there on top of the ledge. That was so fucking sick. The skid 180 off. There's Julian Stranger. His style never changed. He's looked the same since 2001, skating the bump nose blunt at Benicia Park. Anyone who thought I didn't think he had amazing style is fucking nuts. Julian Stranger rules. Anyway, the frontside nollie wall bash was sick as hell. And then skating upstream at 3rd and Army. If you've ever skated here, if the wind's not being your friend that day, good luck filming this line. I don't know if it was windy or not for Mark, but the switch tail slide was absolutely proper. The switch tray flip is proper. I love how he's pushing switch Mongo. Some people just get away with it. Not everybody, but Mark does. Don't know what he tried there, but it was sick. It was like a gap hippie hop. The Casper stall 180 was sick as hell, the way he reverted at the last second. There he is annihilating that rail again, picking up from where he left off in the Reel Kicked Out of Everywhere video. Love that line there, incorporating the rails and the ollie down the stairs. Weird power slide, sex change, frontside shove it, always making things look stylish. And I remember seeing that spot in San Francisco and always wanted someone to skate it. And I just never really realized that Mark had already skated it way before I thought it was cool. Super steezed out feeble. There's that Jerry Sue rail with the yellow shirt, no slide through the flat and the kink. And then that ollie, pole jammy, kilty McBagpipe without the flip. I don't know exactly what Mark was doing there, but such a sick attempt at a trick. He didn't land it all the way. He sort of started rolling away, but he didn't pull it. Sick cover on the DeHobel rail where he 50-50s and drops in. Well, let's get to Krooked Kronichles, 2005. I think this is a culmination of all of Mark's skating. There's those tweaked bonelesses where he puts them all the way sideways after he pops. Love how flowy his lines are here. I feel like as far as his age is concerned, the fact that he's almost 40, he sure as shit is not skating like he is. He still has all that rabid energy. Tasmanian Devil on the board. Switch tray flip. That is a motif we will see in this video. We may even end with the switch tray flip. Love that Wally right there. He's already skating the Adidas now. I believe this is when he first got on. Sick Wally. Love the way he skates that with the frontside ollie. His pivots will never get old. And of course, if you know Gonz, big board skating is one of his specialties. He'll skate any style of board. I like zip zingers. I like zip zaggers. I think Mark brought that fun back to skating of having a quiver of different sized boards and being able to rip all of them. Super stylish rock and roll. Love the yellow swishy jacket he was wearing. The backside boneless is insane. The slob plant, so fucking rad. He can get inverted. He basically still has it style-wise here. He's getting older, and anybody 40, sure, P-Rod's like 41, he's still fucking annihilating shit. But for Mark and breaking down barriers, you're such a grandpa at this point in time. Everyone expects you just to give up and enjoy owning your company Krooked, but Mark did not. The boneless lip slide on the Owen Wilson rail. Love how fast he's still skating in the streets. Still has those switch flips. He's obviously not trying to impress anybody with his part, and I think that's the most beautiful part. I feel like most of his career, he's not trying to impress anybody. He's just skating in a way that makes him feel good and have fun. That was such a sick frontside ollie at LA High. The tray flip's a worm burner, and I fucking loved it. Weird frontside wall ride thing. We'll let Mark talk for this Thrasher, or this Independent Trucks interview here.
Independent's format is completely unique by the name itself and by the way it moves and the way it works. When you ride an independent, it's more along the roots of what skateboarding's about, you know what I mean? And then when you switch to like I'm not gonna say a name of a truck because I can't, I don't wanna put down other trucks. But sometimes, like it turns to this much and then it no longer turns. You're just riding on a slant. But when you turn an Indy, like then the thing turns and then your board turns like actually, the essence of skateboarding, which is turning like this. I don't know, and you don't care about money anymore, like, you know what I mean? If you don't care about endorsements, like if you don't care about getting an ad and you don't care about how much you get paid, I think you ride Indies because, it's the best truck. I don't know, this is the truth. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. If someone wants to be anything they want to be, they should be it on a skateboard rather than anything else. It don't matter to me. Like, I like getting hurt. Like, I smash into a wall. I like that. You know what I mean? Like, what could someone do? They can't say nothing. Like, words don't hurt me. Like, concrete don't hurt me. The only thing that could probably hurt me is if you tried to be my friend. I don't like people.
Yeah, I like how he says he doesn't like people. Next up is a 2006 banger called Get Familiar by Chris Hall. Video out of the East Coast. I remember Casey Rigney and Reese Forbes and Joey Pepper, Bobby Warris, a bunch of East Coast legends fucking shredding in this video. Chris Hall did a great job. But I really like how he exemplifies the Gonz having no rules in his skating. Not only is he one of the pioneers and one of the most important, but I think he's able to have more fun than anybody in any situation. Look at him just cruising around to this shitty skate park somewhere in Southern California. Feeble grind, sick as hell. The one-footed hop. But there's a lot of interesting footage in this 2006 video part. I don't know what that was. Some weird one foot at the Brooklyn Banks, which are going again, so that's sick. And it really shows all the crazy outfits and everything that sort of goes with the whole Mark Gonzales mystique. The whole is he homeless or is he a genius artist parable he's got going for everybody, kneeling while riding. It's kind of funny because you could have just started skating like a year or two ago and cruised to the Brooklyn Banks in 2006 and see this guy doing frontside wall rides on a giant board and not know if he's insane or if he's insanely intelligent. That's one of the greatest parts about the Gonz. Krooked Narnar. If you have not heard of this video, this is mostly Alex Olson, Drehobel, and Mark. You are fucking up. This and another video called Naughty, I believe went straight to VHS when they were filmed. They were filmed on some shitty handy cams on purpose, and Mark conceived the whole thing. You can see the fisheye in all these shots, and they're just bro cam filming the entire video. And Naughty, don't forget that one. Alex Pearl, if you've ever heard him and watched him skate in that with Mike Anderson, the two of them are fucking ripping. Van Wastel was still alive during the filming of Naughty. But anyway, Gonz is just exemplifying to me like the essence of skating. This is a couple years after Get Familiar, that piece by Chris Hall we just saw that was fucking sick, where he's skating Brooklyn Banks in the beanie. Insane hippie hop, sick rock and roll, jumps over the car, that all that ADHD energy that the Gonz seems to never run out of supply. I don't know what that trick was at Flushing's, but it was sick. And to me, this is just shooting it back to when you're maybe 12 or 13 years old, skating with your friends. You got some shitty handy cam. He was holding a bike while he 50-50 that curb. That was so sick. And you guys aren't, you're not cinematographer geniuses. You're not skating greats. You're just pointing and shooting and having fun. And I think the fact that Mark came up with this whole idea here is just brilliant. It just shows what sort of eyes he's got for cool skating, cool outside the box thinking, and even for this idea, which is sort of taking a retro approach to modern street skating in 2008 or 2009 when this came out. If you have not seen this and you consider yourself a Krooked fan and a Mark Gonzales fan, there's another switch tray flip so fucking sick. You need to watch this. I think it's VHS only. You can find it on YouTube. I found it. But for full effect, to really feel like a time capsule, you've got to watch it on VHS. This boneless tail slide. Look at the steez with the arms. He's dapping up right there. Look at his arms. Oh my God, the guy is just a style magnet. He is on the gnarly list, the style list, the ATV list. That's why he's getting his own video. So this Adidas 15 years of Gonz. I think this is the last video part-ish thing I want to break down. They just did a great job of compiling a bunch of Gonz footage that maybe I missed. I edited out clips that I remember putting in from other video parts, and they've done a great job here of just showing the Gonz in his natural habitat. There he is, Supermaning on a bike. But just really showing him over the years and all the weird shit he's capable of doing, how much fun he's having, and the fact that he is the guy who started skating like this. Everyone has copied this since. Everybody from street skaters on the East Coast to street skaters in Europe to street skaters in Japan these days. Everyone's copying this original vibe and intent that Mark set up. And sure, there were other pioneers with him, but I feel like without Mark skating, doing things like this layback Bertelmann gap to table thing at Brooklyn Banks, skateboarding just would not be as weird, as cool, as artistic, or as fun. So yeah, I'm basically answering my own thesis. Oh, don't forget that. That's a Coconut Records music video, West Coast, Jason Schwartzman's band, the actor. But they had Mark in it. He's skating like some modern museum, dressed all weird, but it's perfect. It highly showcases Mark, and there he is trying to kickflip a bike. He can get away with just about everything. Is he a kook? Is he a legend? He's both, and I think when he's doing these weird kook bits where he's just acting, it just adds to the whole flavor that is Mark Gonzales. The way his feet move, the way he pushes, just everything he does, so sick. He's just running into tarps right there. The guy probably has had more fun on a board than anyone that's ever existed. He has the sickest coffins of all time, and I'm truly, truly trying to picture a skateboarding world without this guy. We probably would have got away from just doing vert ramps and freestyle. I'm sure there was other street skaters. But to try to think about how much this guy impacted it and how much he changed it without fully tooting his horn too hard is difficult line to walk, and I'm trying. There it is, no slide, tail slide. I forget what that trick's called, but so sick on the barriers. Skating some flower shop. Spot's insanely ridiculous to skate in person. The high-speed wally going downhill. And then he eats shit on this 50. He's 40-something years old, gets back up and sticks it. What a legend. And if you have not seen his personal YouTube account, what a treat it is. Here it is. I'm just kind of scrolling through, showing you what's there. I'll click on a random video. He puts funny-ass title names, and it's just him skating this curb spot mostly. But it's a great place to go just to get Mark unfiltered the way he wants to show himself. And then we'll end this whole video. A couple weeks ago, it was his 57th or 58th birthday. He's still switch tray flipping on flat. 50-something years old. The guy just never stops inspiring all of us. Well, dudes, that's it right there. That's Mark Gonzales. I think my central thesis was correct that he is the most important skateboarder to ever pick up a board. How many millions of people have gone out and just blasted off their curb cut or done some boneless 360 or got arrested skating the streets because they were trying to copy Mark Gonzales? Millions of people. He inspires everyone. Now, whether skating is a sport or an art, it's 1,000% an art form. It's a very singular thing you do for the passion and the love for it. It's creative. There should be no teams or contests or any of that shit, but it does exist. It has to sort of exist. It's a necessary evil. It's an athletic art form is what I think. And plenty of people do make it look like a sport and make it look fucking boring, especially now in 2025. Sorry about that, but that's just how it goes. Everything that starts off raw, then becomes real, then becomes status quo, then becomes boring. I don't know where we're at in that whole hierarchical system, but we're somewhere in it. Lastly, if you saw any mistakes, call them out in the comments. I don't like making them, but I do all the time. And I'm going to make a list of tech skaters next. I think it's time for some tech. And I'm obviously going to put Rodney Mullen and Day1 Song on there. So you're going to need some more fucking interesting choices than that. Something a little bit more nuanced. Sure, Joey Brzezinski could be on there, but I'm not going to put him there because I don't like his goofy-ass face. I'll be serious on that one. But y'all have a good night, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.
Oh,